Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to a Monday edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast as we are broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios here in beautiful Melbourne, Florida. We also want to give a great shout out to Chumley's Depot and Walk On Sports Bistreaux for being great podcast partners of the show. And let's go to this fine gentleman, and I want to thank him for stopping by my birthday karaoke event last Thursday night in the O'Gelly Art District. We had so much fun at Nomads, raising money for the Crohn's Foundation here in Central Florida. It's my great friend and basketball legend, Coach Billy Mims. Coach, how you doing today?
Mark, I'm doing fantastic today. Doing a lot of honeydews today. You know, it's around the house. Been trying to get some things done. You know, when you're a basketball coach, you spend so much time with the job that you don't get enough time to do things around the house that need doing. So today's been a honeydew, honeydew this, honeydew that kind of day for me. And it's been trying to fix some things that probably been a problem a lot longer than I realized. But just fun. I mean, around the house kind of day. But you know what? It's been really cool too. This past weekend, my daughter Callie, who's up at Yale right now, she's on a fellowship at Yale University and working very hard up there while she's completing her PhD in clinical psychology. She got the weekend off and came home and visited. So it was great having two of our children at home for the weekend, Josh and Callie. Courtney, unfortunately, couldn't make it. She was covering the Arkansas Razorbacks in the NCAA regionals up there that they were hosting in Fayetteville. So she was working for the Hogs, covering the Hogs this weekend. But Callie was at home, and we got to go, as we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
We got to go see some great soccer. But for 2 days, we also went out on the Indian River. So the weather was nice. The boat ran fine. So it's been a really good weekend and a nice day today catching up around home.
That is very nice. Okay, so let's get into it. You went 2 straight weekends to Orlando City Soccer. Now, remember, Coach Mims, if you're new here, he used to live in Europe. He lived in the United Kingdom. He's lived a lot of places. He's seen big-time soccer. Your wife is from England. She knows it's her number one sport. That's what she grew up with. What were your thoughts sitting in my luxury? No, I wish. I wish it was the box. I really did. But no, you sat in my seats. What did you think of the experience there at Exploria Stadium?
Well, number one, Mark, thank you. Thank you for the tickets. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a fantastic, outing for our family. I'll be totally honest. And again, you got to remember, I'd never been before. This was the first time that I've been to the new stadium and to see soccer, professional soccer in America, or I should say football, because, I have a wife who's from England. All 3 of my children were born in England. I'm supposed to say professional football, not soccer. But since we were in the States, I'll call it soccer. The stadium is fantastic.
It is.
Fabulous stadium. I love the fact that it's sort of made on the typical small European or small English football grounds. It's not the massive stadiums that you see now that Arsenal or Man City or Man United are playing in, but it was sort of, like an old Millwall football stadium, a smaller professional club stadium, 4 sides, roofs over all 4 sides. The stands in the end zone are kind of pretty cool. They call it the wall there.
Yeah, I've done this. I've done the wall. You wrote to me. You're like, I'm not standing. No, I'm not doing. I don't blame you. I've done it. It says if you're with a bunch of buddies and you're under the age of 35, yes, it's a great because you still got your legs. I went there. I'd say one of the craziest experience. We went there with a bunch of my friends, like my buddy TJ Martin, all these like soccer hooligans. We saw Team USA in a World Cup qualifying match against, I think maybe Panama. Fantastic. And if you had to go to the bathroom, you better go during halftime, and you had to go to like the other part of the stadium. It was wild, but I loved it. I really, it was worth going once to the wall is fun. It is. But I know you're going with your wife. You want to survive. I understand.
Well, my wife was a little shocked in it as well, right? Because remember, she's from England, right? Yeah. I mean, they don't allow stands in England anymore. There's no standing area because one of the biggest disasters in world football history took place in England, in Sheffield, when the stands, the crowd surged forward and the people down below got trampled. And there were, multiple deaths. They had a gymnasium, like a basketball gym, like right next door to the soccer field, the soccer stadium. And they had bodies, like body bags, all over the court in that gymnasium back in the day. I've seen like the ESPN 30 for 30 type program, documentary that was done on it. And I mean, you talk about a disaster for a national sport for that country, big time disaster. And of course, ever since that happened, the FA, the Football Association in England, the England FA said, no, not going to have it, no stands. So it was kind of weird to see that, knowing that something like that led to such a catastrophe in English football, 3 or 4 decades ago.
Well, I promise you this, the one in Orlando City is safe. Okay.
I'm not trying.
You're not trying.
You know what? Wait, that just came out of the mouth of a sportscaster, not a civil engineer or structural engineer. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Here's what I was going to tell you is, so my dad, he really doesn't care for soccer. He will watch it like World Cup, he'll watch that. My sister loves Inter Miami. She's obsessed now. Messi. She still thinks she can marry David Beckham, but that's another story. So she's all in. So my sister and I will talk it. My dad tries to get in the conversation, but what was interesting, and I want to get your thoughts. So he went to an Inter Miami game, and he told me seeing soccer football in person gave him a better idea of strategy and the flow of the game. And he saw it, and it helped him appreciate what's going on. Did you feel like going to that Orlando City stadium, all right, I like watching this in person compared to television?
Oh, the atmosphere is so much better in person. And remember, when you watch it on television, you're always getting close-up shots of the action. And so I completely agree with your dad. It's hard to see the entire pitch for a long period of time and to see the plays developing, the strategy developing, what they're trying to do. When you're there in person, and that's another thing about the stadium in Orlando, for Orlando City, there's not a bad seat in the house.
No, there's not. Now, when it's late July and it's 9,000 degrees, yeah, it's better to be under the canopy roof. Okay.
Oh yeah. And also, if it ever starts raining, they're going to keep playing. The soccer doesn't stop for rain delays. As long as there's no lightning, they're going to keep playing in the rain. So as a fan, I appreciate those roofs. I told my wife, I said, yeah, I'd rather sit toward the top instead of down at the bottom. One, you're under the roof. Two, you can see the whole pitch and even the top row. If you are where TNT, the NBA crew from TNT, Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley and Shaq and all, where they were sitting in Madison Square Garden, Shaq could stand up and his head would bump the roof, right? That is not a good place to watch a basketball game in Madison Square Garden. But I tell you what, you can be on row P, row Q. You could be at the top row of Orlando City, and you still have a really good view of the pitch, the development of strategy, the plays taking place. You're not so far away that you can't see it. I've been to live football in England, okay? I've been to see Arsenal play. I've been to see Tottenham Hotspur play. I've actually been to Wembley Stadium to watch England play. I was in Wembley when Wayne Rooney scored his 50th goal for the England national team. So I've actually seen some of the biggest national games and club games in England in bigger stadiums, right? And what's funny was I had good seats at Wembley because one of my former secretaries, who used to be our basketball club secretary when I was coaching the London Leopards in the BBL, after the Leopards franchise dissolved and was no longer in existence, she moved over to working for the FA, and her office was at Wembley Stadium. So a few years ago, when we were over visiting family, I called her up and said, hey, I said, any chance I could come bring my father-in-law, because he loves football, or loved, and got rest in peace. But it was the treat of a lifetime. We got tickets from her. We were able to drive right up to the VIP entrance. Somebody waited on him, helped him out of the car, took him to the elevator. We went up to one of the cool places you go eat. My wife met and took pictures with the England national women's team. And ironically, they all had on white polos that day. And my wife stood in the picture and she had a white sort of top as well on. I brought it back here and started showing it to friends of mine from England back here in Melbourne. And they're going, oh, wow, like you met the England women's national team, before the Women's World Cup, right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, my wife's in the picture there too, right? And they go, oh, wow, she looked just like one of the players.
God. Yeah, I have taken the tube out to Wembley Stadium. Man, first off, that place is far from the city center. It is far. And that thing is like the alien spaceship landed. It is gigantic. Yeah, and I've done that. I don't know if you ever saw the video and photos from last summer when Taylor Swift performed there.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I was there. So I got off the plane the first time I'm in London.
You didn't go see Taylor Swift?
No. Okay, so here's how I knew it. I landed in London, got on the tube to get into the city center, and all of a sudden, I'm like looking around, and all these girls are dressed like Taylor Swift, and I'm like, oh, no. And one British guy was dressed in the Travis Kelce football jersey. Like, oh, no. I know. And I knew, I was like, there is no way you are going to be stuck. And I remember the next day on the news, they're showing the video. Thousands of people are waiting to get on that tube, get back into the city, and they were stuck there all night. Awful. There's a good outlet center there as well. I've been there many times, right by Wembley. I know.
Yeah, you're a good British tourist.
Yeah, no, I'm a local now. I turn into European Mark. That's how it is. Yeah, you're right. That stadium is great. It really is. But
you know what's funny?
No.
The funniest thing about it, Mark, is when I was sitting in Orlando City, right? And as you know, the seats, we were up top. We weren't touching the roof. We weren't on the top row. I think it was row N, maybe. But you know what? When I saw it, I said row N. Oh, these are going to be like bad seats. Once I sat there, like, these are great seats. And I was remembering going to Wembley and watching England. And I said, man, I had like big money tickets at Wembley, and yet, given to me by, and we were in club seating, given to me by the secretary for the FA. And yet the seats at Orlando City were closer to the pitch, better seats than we had at Wembley. So even a high-priced club-level seat in a big major European stadium is farther away than possibly the worst seat at Orlando City. So people shouldn't worry about where their seats are. Every seat in that stadium is a good seat.
Yeah. Here's what I like about Orlando. This is like the visitors bureau. Like, we need to be on there. The Magic Arena and Orlando City, it's a great location. And then there's exit strategies. You can get in and out, go park somewhere else, get in your car. You can get right on the highway. Now Camping World Stadium is harder because where it is hard to get in and out of there. But the soccer and the basketball arena, super easy to get in and out. It's not like in Miami where the Miami Heat play, which you've been to, where you're right on US 1. And I went to a game there and covered it against San Antonio. Luckily, I took the Bright Line to get there. Dude, I understand now. Fourth quarter of that game, The whole thing turns into a parking lot trying to get out of there. It is awful, awful, but it's not bad. In Orlando City, you go to your, this is what's interesting. You go to your different section, the gate you have to go to get in and out.
Mhm.
It's easy. It really is.
Very easy. And it's quality. I mean, the food was pretty good. We ate at the stadium. The food was pretty good. The lines moved quickly. The food's a little expensive. But again, that's any pro sport. And there was a variety. We walked around the entire stadium inside to check out all the different types of food you could get. Man, it was global. The different types of cuisine you could experience in Orlando City wasn't just popcorn and hot dogs. You had all kinds of choices around the stadium. Really good. I liked as well, when we went around, we saw where they had behind the glass, they had the cup that they'd won and silver plates that they'd won. The success of the club was on display for everyone coming to a game to see. And then they had another neat place to go look on the home side of the stadium, so to speak, where the side behind the team benches. They had this I guess you call it exhibit, the starting 11.
Yeah.
And it's got 11 mannequins facing away from you, standing up there, 11 football mannequins, all in gear with their names and numbers on the back. And I thought, what a cool display that is. Thinking about other sports and stuff. You could do that for baseball or basketball or football, American football. And you could do it for a pro franchise. And you could have the jerseys of the greatest players ever, in the franchise history, like the starting five, and have your 5 best guys. Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen would be there. And I think that would be really cool. So I liked, the kind of exhibits that they had around. I liked the food. The people were very helpful, the staff. And as you said, we were out of there safely walking 4 blocks back to where we parked over by the Kia Center.
Yeah.
And straight out of the parking lot, back on to 528 in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's great. It is. I like also, since you said you walked around the stadium, I like taking my photo at the wall where the entrance to the wall, it says the wall, and it's got the lion there. It is. And you can't, it's what's interesting, and I respect this. You can't go to the wall unless you have a ticket. Like, you can't, can I just go see it? No, you can't. And there's no assigned seat once you get there. It's just, all right, here you go. Like, this is what you're doing. Oh, it's, yeah.
That's where the pushing and shoving comes in,
Dude, there was one time, it was a season opener, might have been 2 or 3 years ago. I swear this is what happened. So what they used to do, what you could do is, so behind the stadium, that's where the players park. That's where the entrance is for media and the players.
And that's where the groupies hang out, right?
Yeah. So if you're a fan, this is my advice for everyone. There's like a fence there. So you can't just jump the fence and start, talking to the players. But there are fans that stand there, and after the game, the players will come out and sign autographs if you're nice, if you ask them. So it's really cool. So there's one time I had to pick up a credential before I parked my car. I swear this is what happened. I'll show you the video. So I drive down that street, and all of a sudden I get it. I'm going to turn around, get back onto Church Street. The supporter section, that's the way they were walking to the stadium. So I swear, I was at the intersection. I parked the car, turned off the car. 200 Orlando City fans walk by my car with the purple smoke and everything. And there was a part of me, I'm like, please, Lord, don't have them destroy my car or like throw purple on. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. It was very dangerous. But the Orlando City fans.
And the other thing is really cool. I mean, again, if you've never been to a professional soccer game in Europe or America, you got to go at least once. Even if you don't like, I don't like soccer. You got to go because the atmosphere is so different in American sports. They try to have that European club atmosphere. And you talk about the wall. The interesting thing to me in the wall, right, is they've got a drum corps down there. They've got people on trumpets and bugles.
All game.
There's like a band, and the drummers and the band are playing the entire game.
Whole time.
People are singing songs. I don't know what they're saying. I'd like to sing along, but I don't know the words. It's not like a Taylor Swift anthem, you know?
No, it's not. Dude,
I don't know the words.
You are absolutely right. The craziest thing ever was last summer. I went to cover Team USA take on Brazil, and it was at Camping World Stadium. I swear, I've never been stuck on what is the road we were on. So you take 528 to 417, it's 408. 408 is usually normal. You're heading west, then you take the exit to get downtown, you're going to the Magic game.
Mm-hmm.
417, you get on 408, it was backed up that whole way. The whole way. And I got there early. That was the worst. I'll never experience that again. That was when I went for Chelsea Arsenal a couple years ago at Camping World Stadium, there was so many people trying to get in. The match started. 15 minutes in, people are still trying to get into the stadium. It's insane. It is. But I've told you this. American crowds, I thought we were wild. I thought we are crazy. When I went to that Chelsea match at Chelsea, I have never, and I root for the team, go Blues, all that stuff. I never experienced swearing like that in my life in the stands. Never in a million years. I thought I knew how to swear. And then when I heard those Brits start going, oh my God. You know exactly.
You know another difference? Since you brought that up, is you made me think of something. I asked Lynn about this when we were at the Orlando City game, right? Because she's been to many football games in England, you know, in her time. And I asked her, I said, you know what, if you noticed something you could have, we saw the Portland Timbers play the first weekend, and Orlando City won 1-0, thanks to a Duncan McGuire, great goal by Duncan McGuire. And then we come back to see the Chicago Fire play the Orlando City this past week, and Duncan McGuire's not on the lineup. I was like, I became a Duncan McGuire fan on Saturday before. Come back and he's not there. I'm like, oh my goodness, he's not listed today. I don't know if he was injured, sick, whatever. But so I was going and thinking I got a guy to root for. I didn't have him. He was gone. But the thing that was interesting, I said to her, was there were a few fans wearing Chicago gear, right? And they would dot it around wherever. That would never happen in a Premiership game in the UK. If you are wearing the opponent's gear at a game away from home, you got one section you could sit in.
Yes.
And you know what that's, and they have, so that one corner section of the stadium for the visiting fans has got the aisles on both sides of it lined with guards, police type security guards. And that's because the Yobs in British football, they go to those games, especially away games, and they go simply to fight. And so many fights have broken out between the fans of you talk about the swearing, I'm talking about the left hooks and the right jabs.
Oh, yeah.
But
you're right.
I mean, people get arrested at those games. So because of that, you can't sit, a Chelsea fan can't go sit between two Man United fans. No. Can't happen. Never. No.
You know, I was going to say is, because I went to a women's game. All right. So I've seen Chelsea play, and this was funny. I've seen the men's team play. I've seen the men's team play in England and then in Orlando. And then the last time I was there, I saw the women's team play. Okay. So I've seen this club play 3 times. They've not scored a goal yet. That's how crazy that is. Right. But same thing. When you go to the stadium, your section. So here's how crazy they don't mess around what you're saying. Where your ticket is, you have to go to that side of the stadium to get into that side of the stadium. Yep. So you scan your code to get in. Then for your section, you scan the code again so you can only go in there. So there's no shenanigans.
You can't, I just said we walked all the way around. Yeah. Every time I've ever been to a pro stadium in America, I want to experience it all. And I've always walked around the entire stadium, mainly probably just to see what other food was on offer,
Yeah, exactly.
But to see exhibits and different things, fan zones and different things. But in soccer in England, British football at the Premiership level, you are not allowed to walk around the entire stadium. It's fenced off when you get to a certain point because the fans will not be allowed to interact from visiting fans to home fans. Big difference when you go to an American event.
All right, I'll tell you this, and I know we were going to talk NBA, but I'm enjoying this conversation as well. Americans are wearing the jerseys or the kits. The British, I've noticed, and I could be wrong, no, they're wearing the scarf. I mean, that's about it. Like, they're not, because my dad has that rule where he's like, once you get to a certain age, you shouldn't be wearing a jersey anyway as a full-grown man. No, they don't. I don't think, I'm telling you, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the match, and I'm going to wear my favorite soccer jersey, and I'm going to wear the hat. Brits don't do that. I could be wrong.
Now, you know what's funny about that?
What?
Transitioning us maybe, but talking about the NBA playoffs. I was watching the game the other night, the OKC versus Minnesota, the last game that was actually in Minnesota, right? And, there's this big thing in the NBA now. When you come to a playoff game, you got to have color-coordinated clothing.
Oh, yeah. This
section's white. This section's blue. And you sit back and you say, oh, why not they did that? No. They put a white T-shirt on every seat in this section, a blue T-shirt. But you know what's funny? So you made me think about that when your dad said you come to a certain age, you shouldn't wear a jersey, right?
Yeah.
Well, I thought about it. I said to my wife the other night, I said, you look at all these people that paid big money for these tickets, and they go in and there's a $2.99 T-shirt, and they put on that $2.99 T-shirt over what they wore to the game. And so you know what, Mark? I said, okay, I get it, the cheap seats, right? But surely the people in the Jack Nicholson seats that sit on the front row on the court paying $30,000 for a ticket, surely they're not going to wear those T-shirts. They did.
Yeah, and it's hey, don't forget, we don't care if you spend $30,000. It's one size fits all. It's an extra large.
Well, you know why that is?
Right.
So everybody can get it over their nice Calvin Klein suit they had on.
Yeah. So I do that for the Magic playoff games. I always grab two shirts. I give one to my coworker, MJ. She got one, and then my sister gets the other one. So my sister was wearing the 2024. Man, I was like, don't worry. I'll get you an upgrade. Don't worry when I go. So I did. It's so funny. I love how you say that. Yeah, you spent $800 on that ticket. Well, put on this shirt we got at the Dollar Tree. Okay, let's do it. It sounds like it'd be a Seinfeld episode. Remember when Kramer, he wouldn't wear the ribbon for the AIDS walk? That'd be like if it was updated Seinfeld. Kramer's at the Knicks game and he won't wear the shirt. No, I'm not wearing the shirt.
Not wearing that. No.
Not wearing that. No, I don't think so. I'm not.
You're not wearing the shirt? What do you mean you're not wearing he's not wearing the shirt. And the
wearing
whole section around him would toss him out of MSG, wouldn't they?
You're not down with the yesers? Come on, we're Indiana. All right, I'm going to say this to you. We've had this as a running gag for weeks now, and it still goes on. You still message me things about the Joker. You'll be on your deathbed, and you'll be like, what are your final words?
Hey,
Joker should have won MVP.
No, you know what, though, now I got in this conversation with Josh yesterday, my son, right? And Josh said, Dad, he said, you were on and on about the Joker, getting trashed, disrespected by all the voters, when hands down, he should have been the MVP because his numbers off the charts all season long, all playoffs long, off the charts. And there's only been one series worth watching so far. You and I said this, the NBA Finals were OKC Denver. That was the NBA Finals.
They were.
But, right? Josh made a point. He said, Dad, Joker's not the only one got disrespected or trashed now. He said, did you see Tyrese Halliburton? Have you seen it? It's going viral, right?
Yes.
When Ernie Johnson announces the most valuable player of the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And as he picks up the trophy and starts to say it, Tyrese Halliburton starts walking forward. He's taking a step forward because I turned to Josh, I said, oh, it's Tyrese Halliburton. No, Pascal Siakam. And here's the same funny thing. Tyrese Halliburton led their team in every statistical category except scoring. And mind you, he averaged 21 points a game, but he was like 2 points behind Pascal Siakam. Siakam didn't even lead him in rebounding.
It's so fun.
Okay. He wasn't even the leading rebounder. Okay. So it was identical. So this is just the weird year, right? Because look at SGA and the Joker, right? The Joker led every category except one, scoring. He was in the top 3 for the first time in NBA history in 3 categories. How many was SGA in? 1. So the only thing that mattered to NBA aficionados this year, who scored the most points? If you scored the most points in the regular season, MVP. Who scored the most points in the Indiana Eastern Conference Finals? Pascal Siakam, MVP. So you don't even have to just look at the stat sheet and say, who scored the most points? MVP. You know what they've done? These voters, they've just told everybody else, who cares about playing defense? Who cares about steals, block shots, rebounds, assists, being unself? No. Score, baby. You know the old just win, baby?
Yeah, Al Davis.
Al Davis. The NBA voters have just said, forget just win, baby. Just score, baby.
Yeah, you're not kidding around with that. We're here with Billy Mims talking NBA Finals. Yeah, he thought he won it. He literally started making the move. Oh, wait, you're not me? That's like you're at the bar, right? And there's a girl pointing at a bunch of guys. You're like, oh, he pointed at me. Oh, okay. And you start walking. No, I was talking to that guy over there. That's exactly what that's like.
Hey, if I were a marketing executive right now for the next best Super Bowl commercial, I would hire Tyrese Halliburton and Nikola Jokic. And I would have them sitting around celebrating being runners up.
It's so crazy, dude. I like people on YouTube were commenting, Nixon 9. Give us a couple more games. Dude, I told you this after game 1. When he hit that shot to go to overtime, I said, this thing's over. I don't care what the Knicks do. The Pacers are a basketball team. They built a real team, not this Frankenstein monster that the Knicks were, where they just threw it together and see if it could work. Dude, I thought of you in like games 4 and 5 and even 6. I thought of you as a guy that's coached. You have 40 years of experience. I thought of you like, you look at the Knicks. There were times they weren't sure what their rotation was. And I'm like, it's late May. How do you not know what you're doing? And they're like, maybe we'll just throw this guy out here. Maybe he'll throw. What? I'm amazed they got this far in the playoffs. I really am.
Well,
what about you?
I'm amazed that Tom Thibodeau doesn't do one of 2 things, okay, strategy-wise. This is where I think it was all lost, okay? Tibbs has got to do one of 2 things strategy-wise, and maybe they would have a chance to win the series. And you're waiting with bated breath right now, aren't you?
What is it?
Know. He's either got to shave his head or get a rug.
That's what you can't. So, okay. So all the basketball strategy in the world, you couldn't get over the haircut. You can't. He's right there at the finish line. Just cut it.
You know, when they zoom in on him in the huddle, because the camera's now above you, he's got 3 strands of hair that he's the comb over. You know, there had to be another Seinfeld episode about the comb over, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, it looks like Homer Simpson with I know. I feel bad. I hope that doesn't happen to us. Okay, that's my part.
Hey, I'm sorry, okay? And that's you know, I do have a lot of hair, so I can
look, dude, you have great hair.
But thank you. But you know what? I mean, I don't have any problem with guys that don't, right? I think, you know what? I couldn't shave my head and look that good. Some of these guys shave their head, man, they look great. You know, it's like, wow, man, that dude looks, man, look at that. That chrome dome is nice, you know?
You can't. This is your problem. You feel like this guy's got to figure out the haircut first, then he can figure out the rotation. That's
I'm like, he lives in New York now. He has not watched enough Seinfeld. He has not met Jason Alexander and find out about, do you stick with the natural baldness? Do you get a nice rug? You got to make a choice here one way or the other, because the 3-strand comb over ain't working for you.
All right, here's my follow-up then, if we're going to be a hater here with Coach Billy Mims. What does Timothy Chalamet and Ben Stiller do now? Now they have to go back to work? They've been, it's ridiculous.
And you know what? For Timothy Chalamet, it was date night.
Yeah, and she's paying. What are you talking about? Remember, she's like a billionaire with her. Yeah, she's been paying. Look, I joked with my brother. He's only dating her. Forget about the beauty and the fame. No, he's dating her just so that he can go to the Knicks games. That was the plan.
Better than that. What? He's dating her because he gets those front row seats at the Knicks game. I'm sorry, I have a friend, one of my former players.
Here we go. What are you going to say?
One of my former players, right, is from New York City, played for St. John's University in college, first team All Big East, played professionally for me in England in the old BBL, British Basketball League, for the Leicester Riders, named Billy Singleton. I won 2 national championships with Billy Singleton playing for me from New York City. Now, Billy's retired now as a player, and I talk to him every so often. He now works Madison Square Garden. He works for the Knicks in Madison Square Garden.
That's cool.
And he's a host for hospitality and the top guest. So Billy told me at one time that front row is different. Front row is special, right? Now, the first 7 rows are still high-class seats and special people you're entertaining, right? But there's, used to be, are you an A-lister in Hollywood? Are you a B-lister? Madison Square Garden, are you a front row guy? Are you row 6 guy? Billy is one of the guys that helps make those decisions. Is this a front row? Is this row 5, row 6? Right? And I'm telling you, with some good advice, I'm not sure Timothy Chalamet was front row material, but his girlfriend definitely is.
Oh, yeah. You're not kidding around. I bet you just being in that building, even if you're we were talking earlier about, stadiums, for those playoff games, as a basketball fan, I'm not a fan of the Knicks, but I think it would be fun to be in that building, no matter where you're sitting. The crowd energy must be nuts.
Except you don't want to be up there touching the roof of the Garden like Shaq was.
No, and remember, it's 19,000 people who think they're great because they're from New York. That's the other energy. Yeah. We're from New York and you're a dumb hillbilly. That's what they think of every other fan base. We're from New York, you're trash, and we're going to win this game. And Halliburton, Siakam, and all those guys went there, and they won that series. I give them all the credit in the world.
Speaking of that swag of New York City, the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, man, Indiana went in there. They were the corn-fed guys, Yeah. They're from out in the cornfields of the Midwest, Indiana, right? They went in there in those first 2 ball games, though, and made a statement.
Yeah.
They made a statement. This wasn't about where you're from, where you play, or what attitude the fans have. This is basketball. And then they finished the New York Knicks off in the final game of the series, winning in Indiana, right? And what do they say? What does Rick Carlisle say? In 49 other states, this is just basketball, but this is Indiana.
That's a great line. Great line. All right, but I will say this. We don't need to show Caitlin Clark every 3 seconds, okay? And I like Caitlin Clark.
But wait a minute. Hey, you know why they were doing that? Because every time she plays, Tyrese Halliburton is sitting courtside watching her. And
I know.
If you watch an Indiana Fever game, they keep shooting the cameras over to Tyrese Halliburton. Hey, Hallie's at the game. He's watching Caitlin.
Get her in the game. All right, let's go. Just make it happen. Look, I get it. She is great. She's awesome. They keep showing her like she's Taylor Swift. at the Chiefs game. It's like, okay, I got it. All right. I am picking, we're here with Billy Mims. I am taking the Thunder in 6. I don't think, I think I need like 2 games to process this. I don't think I'm going to, like the first game, something can happen, but I think till game 2, because the Pacers can play. They can play offense, defense. And I like this comparison I heard. They're like those Steve Nash type teams on Phoenix, 7 seconds or less. That's what they did to New York. I got to see if they can run, but the Thunder are the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, and they are big. I could see Indiana winning game 1, but I got to see 2 games. I'm taking Thunder in 6. How do you look at this series?
Well, you made a great point that the Thunder are the best defensive team in the NBA this year. Absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Mark Daigneault, for my money, I think Mark Daigneault, if the voters for Coach of the Year voted like they did for Player of the Year, Mark Daigneault was hands down the best coach. He won the most games, okay? But, like he scored the most points. He won the most games. And the series is interesting, Mark, because it's a team that's there because they're supposed to be there against a team that's riding on incredible emotion, right? So we have a really, really true underdog in the Indiana Pacers. They were the underdogs a lot in the Eastern Conference. Everybody thought it's going to be Boston, OKC. That's what everybody thought. I mean, okay, some foolish people that live in Cleveland, Ohio, thought it was going to be the Cavs and OKC, but the only people that thought that actually were residents of Cleveland, Ohio, and Cavs fans, okay? Yes, they won the most games. Yes, they were the number 1 seed in the East going into the postseason. But everybody sat back and said, but Boston has been there. They know how to win. Well, then the New York Knicks come to Boston and say, sorry, guys, we're going to crush you. And the Knicks knocked the Celtics out. Now, okay, the Celtics had some injuries that played a factor in that. But even before the injury, the Knicks were already dealing knockout blows, right? And then the Pacers from out in the Midwest come to Madison Square Garden and throw a haymaker in round 1, right? Round 1 of the 7-game series, game 1, haymaker from Indiana, down 20 points with under 3 minutes to play. And Aaron Nesmith knocks down 4 threes in the last 3 minutes, takes over the game. He's got great looks and he's on fire. And not one time did the Knicks think, let's foul him before he shoots the 3. Let's run him off the line, make him do something else. No, they watched him hit 1, 2, 3, 4 threes in a row to erase that 20-point lead. It was shell-shocking. Overtime win, haymaker round 1. And guess what? All of a sudden, you don't have the Lakers from the West Coast. You don't have the Knicks or the Celtics from the East Coast. You got 2 podunk towns from the Midwest. Oklahoma City, that doesn't have any other professional sports teams other than the Thunder. It's the Thunder time, right? And then you got Indiana, who, okay, they have Indianapolis Colts in football, but it's been a while since they've been a factor.
Yeah.
You got Caitlin Clark drawing big crowds, but all of a sudden, the Indianapolis Pacers have taken us somewhere we haven't been in a long time. 2 unpredictable teams, 1 team that is here because they earned the right to be here throughout the whole season. The winningest team in the league, the number 1 defense in the league's most valuable player. The Pacers belong here, right? But then, the OKC Thunder belong. But then you have the Pacers. And the Pacers just keep getting better. They might be the number 1 offense in the NBA, certainly in the postseason, right? So it's a classic finals. The team that's predicted to win, the favorite, and the underdog. They're both from smaller metropolitan Midwestern towns, okay? Small cities. And you've got the epitome of what coaches love. I don't know how fans feel, but you got the best defense against the best offense. Which is going to win the ring? Everybody says, Mark, throughout my coaching career, my playing career, I've heard it over and over and over again. Defense wins championships. Well, we're going to find out next week, right?
Yeah.
Because Oklahoma City wins because they defend. Best defense. That's what they did to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They shut down two superstars, Anthony Edwards, the young face of the NBA, and Julius Randle. They were not a consistent offensive duo that could compete with OKC's firepower and OKC's defense. OKC are swarming stars, double teaming stars. And people have tried that before, Mark, but nobody's ever been able to swarm the ball, double team or triple team the superstar, and get to the next pass as well as OKC does. Their closeouts are phenomenal. They got athletes that guard the ball all over the floor. Their defense is going to be really interesting to watch because now they're going to play a team that at any point in time during the game, we've seen what can happen. The Pacers can get down 20, but Mark, Pacers don't quit.
No.
They keep firing up shots. They got a lot of firepower, a lot of weapons. They can score the basketball. So is defense going to win the championship? Is offense going to ultimately win out this time? We won't know until we watch. You've got the favorite in 6, right? Because you want to see how it goes. I want to say this could be a 7-game series. Possible. I think it's going to go one of two ways. It's either a 7-game series that OKC will probably win in 7, okay? Or it's a quick series that OKC's defense slows down Indiana's offense to a point that they just can't score enough points to compete. So is the defense going to make it a quick series, or is the offense going to keep the Pacers hanging around and give them a chance in a long, drawn-out series? I want to toss a coin, say, if it goes 7, toss a coin. It could be the Pacers with an upset in 7. If it's a short series, it's definitely going to OKC.
Well, your boy, Mr. Joker, Nikola Jokic, if the Thunder stomp the Pacers, then we could just put Joker in the Hall of Fame now. Like, because the Thunder killed everyone, like outside of the Joker. Like, it killed everyone. Okay, here's the note I wanted to tell you. So Anthony Edwards is with Adidas. You've met him in person.
Yep. Chris
Finch is your guy. So he has these Adidas shoes, and they're so ridiculous. I see them at the mall all the time. I know you've seen his shoe before. They're like silver, and they look like they're from like Buck Rogers in the 25th century. They're so ridiculous looking, his basketball shoes. So they were like $130, and I've seen them all playoffs, and I'll be at the mall, the different stores. I was like, I should get those. And I'm like, nah, they're too expensive for $130. The day after they got smoked in the playoffs, they went on sale. I knew it. Adidas said, enough of this guy. Put these on clearance. The low top's on sale. The high top's on sale. I might have to pull the trigger now. I might have to go get them. They're so ridiculous. I love they're on clearance now. Love it.
You get them while you can.
Yeah.
Because the Ant-Man will be back next year, I promise you.
Yes, he will. He's gone to 2 straight conference finals. Now they're destroying him, right?
Hey, remember this, and I'm not comparing him. Don't get the comparison. But I'm going to say this to you because you're a Chicago guy.
I knew you were going to say this.
Remember when Jordan first wore those red and black Nikes, and the NBA fined him because you couldn't wear them, right? Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, way back then, nobody cared, right? Now look how much money. If you have a pair of those original Jordans, look what they're worth. So right now, Okay. They didn't win it all this year. Adidas threw them on sale.
Okay.
But those Anthony Edwards shoes, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when the Ant-Man has a couple titles under his belt, couple MVPs, couple championships, all of a sudden they might be like those red, white, and black Jordans that we all wish we still owned a pair of right now.
I'm looking up the shoes so I could show you a photo of them because this is what the people really want. Okay. Can I find it? It's where's the wait, I gotta do it for you real quick. They're showing me the different colors. I have to show you the ones I saw. They're so ridiculous.
And you know the different colors. He would do that, like I think he must have been like superstitious.
Yeah.
Because he'd have a bad game and he'd go back to a color he had a great game in.
Is it now? I love the Wi-Fi in my building is so terrible that now it's freezing up on me. Just to give you an idea, it's like, it's can you see it? Mark, you're fantastic. It's this stupid shoe. Okay, this is what the shoe looks like. You see this, right? Like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they're like metallic silver.
Yeah.
So you can't, you know what I'm talking about. So I might have to get them. I think that's what we're gonna have to do.
I've seen him wear those shoes in person, right?
Oh, you think you're better than me, huh?
No. I'm just gonna tell you. If they do to you what I saw them do to him, buy 2 pair, okay?
All right, I'll go do it. For you, and then you'll sign them. That's what I'll do. You, because that'll help the.
No, you know what? Give them to me. I'll take them up to Minnesota next preseason.
Ooh, now we're talking. We're talking. Oh. Yeah. There was a thing where they were showing the Michael Jordan Air Jordan is 40 years old now. The pair you're talking about, 40 years of business. So I think it was like CBS this morning was interviewing the people behind the scenes. And you saw the movie Air, right? With Matt Damon.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I can't think of his name. The guy that Chris Tucker plays, one of the original guys. So they interview him. He still works for Nike. In the interview, he is wearing a special pair. This is for your wife. A special pair of Air Jordans that are Christian Dior designer Air Jordans. And they're worth $15,000. And he's wearing them. 15,000. Who do you think you are? Princess Diana? Are you crazy? 15,000.
Yeah. I'm not putting $15,000 anything on my feet.
No. The best thing you have is when you were coaching in London. You've told this story for years. We're here with Billy Mims, where your owner bought you the Armani suit, and then your players Gatorade dunked you. So the suit, this is what I love. You still own the suit, and it's ruined. That's what I love. Can you wear it now, or what can you do?
Well, I hate to be brutally honest.
Here we go.
It doesn't fit me anymore, Mark.
All right. If I ever get married, can I wear this suit? Can I wear it?
Of course you could. And you know what? It's a beautiful summer wedding suit. It was a Armani, right? But it was the khaki style, the beige khaki, sort of khaki knit summer fashion suit,
Well,
beautiful suit, right? I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Wore it for the championship final, and my players dumped yellow Gatorade on it, right? And I didn't care. We just won the national championship, right? But a couple days later, I took it to the cleaners that I always went to in London. They cleaned it, right? They cleaned it twice, maybe 3 times, hung in the bag and handed it to me. And now the beautiful beige Armani has got giant greenish yellow stains of Gatorade. I said, you know what? If the cleaners couldn't get this out of my suit, how do I think these guys are ever getting the Gatorade out of their bodies, okay?
No, there's no way. I love that story so much. Thank you for saying that one again. It's worth what? Look, you only live once. I bet you it cost you a couple $1,000, but it was worth it. Look, for you have the championship ring. Isn't that worth more? Come on.
Absolutely. And I have the photo hugging a player in that suit when they were pouring the Gatorade on me, right?
That's awesome.
I have the photo of that, right? Mm-hmm. And so the crazy thing is that I will forever keep that suit. It is in my closet. It's bagged up, but I've got the ring we won. I've got the photo hugging John White. I remember who I had my arms around like it was yesterday, hugging John White. And he had this huge smile on his face. I got my arms around him. He's hugging me. And you can see the slow motion dripping of the frozen in the photograph Gatorade coming toward that beautiful suit. So the picture, the suit, the ring, maybe one day it'll all go together. And, someplace will want to have an honor, like name a toilet after me or something. And,
I like that. Okay. All right. Let's end with this with Coach Mims. And I appreciate doing an hour with me. Game 1 of the finals is Thursday night. Okay, this is very key. Hockey, I talked to Doug Plagans, Panthers radio play-by-play guy earlier today. Panthers, again, I always joke this, Florida's a hockey state. I don't care what anyone says. Say all the high school football you want. We're a hockey state now. So we were joking. And I'll just tell you this. I told him, Panthers are the bad guys. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, the whole state of Canada, who has not won a cup, the whole country has now won since like 90 for the Montreal Canadiens. Edmonton is taking on. Remember, they played Florida last year, lost in 7 games. The whole country's going to be watching that. And who are they taking on? Oh, these guys from Sunrise, Florida. What? They can't get through Sunrise, Florida. We don't get snow here, and we're dominant in hockey. So that's all I was going to tell you.
Well, you know what's funny about that?
What?
Is that most of the National Hockey League is now immigrated.
Yes.
Like, it did start in Canada, and it was all Chicago, Boston, New York, and Canada. That was hockey at one point, right? Well, all those Canadian teams got those dollar signs going, right? And if we move our team to somewhere in America, we're going to make money like the Rangers, the Bruins, the Blackhawks. We're struggling to make money because we're not south of the border. We got to get over the border. So now America stole their national pastime. Not only did we steal it, we keep winning championships in it. I feel for the Canadians, right?
I know.
I feel for the Canadians. But, then I heard people say certain people leave Canada and come to America to get surgeries done. And I don't know what that says, but, those poor Canadians, they're losing stuff across the border all the time. So go Florida Panthers. I'm rooting for the Panthers to win. But you know what? I hate to say this. The Florida Panthers, and it's Edmonton, right?
It's Edmonton.
The Edmonton Oilers, okay? But I didn't know there was that much oil in Edmonton. I thought all the oil was in Texas.
I know. Okay, real quick. I have the Lightning pennant behind me. I got to get a Panther. I got to get a Panthers one. That one the team gave me like 10 years ago or so. And it's got a bunch of the autographs on there, but I got to get a Panthers one.
You remember what you said earlier in the show about your dad and soccer.
Yeah.
Okay. That he got a better appreciation going to see it live, right? I'm from South Carolina. The only ice we have in South Carolina is in a glass and you put iced tea in it. Okay. That's the only ice there is in South Carolina. I grew up, it was 110 degrees in the shade in the summertime, right?
Yes.
It's hot there, right? There's no ice. There's no snow, like you said in Florida. But you know what? So I never understood hockey. And then I would watch it on TV back in the day when the NHL was on mainstream TV. And then remember for a while it went away and you couldn't watch hockey on TV in the States. But I remember watching my first hockey game. I could never see the puck. It was going so fast, zipping around. And then everybody would shout, "Go!" I'm like, where? When? Where's the puck? I didn't see it. It went under some guy's 6,000-pound shin guards. I couldn't see it. And so I didn't appreciate the game. Then when I first went to a live hockey game, right? Then I really got into it, kind of like I didn't appreciate soccer until I went to see it live, like your dad. And then here's the last thing I'll say about the similarity right now, though, of the two finals. Edmonton, Florida, OKC, Indiana. The similarity is there's no huge TV market, media market in either series. So I know that there are people out there that would have been praying for the New York Rangers to get through.
Yeah.
Right? For somebody from a big media mecca, for a California, a LA team, Las Vegas team to get through, right? Just like in basketball, the only people that are disappointed in these finals are the media rights folks, because the amount of people watching these series drastically dropped when the Boston Celtics went out of it, when the Celtics went out, when the Knicks went out, believe it or not, when the Denver Nuggets went out, because Jokic is such a big world, global ambassador for the game. The TV numbers would have gone off the charts if the Nuggets had won the West and either Boston or New York had won the East. Sometimes you get one team from a major media mecca, right? But very rarely do you get none. And that's what we have right now. There's no big media market. So are people in Manhattan going to tune in to watch either series? Probably not. You got to be a diehard basketball fan or hockey fan, right?
Yes.
But if you're a Knicks fan, are you watching the finals now? Heck no. If you're a Lakers fan, are you watching the finals? No. If you're a Nuggets fan, no. That's what hurts the most. I see it because I think sometimes it's bigger than the game is bigger than the moment, right? And when you don't get a big media market team in the finals, it is a little bit detrimental to the sport and to the game because you're going to lose viewership. My only negative toward the hockey finals or toward the basketball finals that are coming up is you just don't have the mecca of the sport really involved in either finals.
Okay, so for hockey, that Connor McDavid guy, or as they call him up north, McJesus, okay? he's the best hockey. He's Canadian born. He is on a Canadian team. He would be the man if he can win that. Remember, he's so good. This is a crazy sports trivia question. The Florida Panthers won the title last year. Who was playoff MVP? Connor McDavid. And he played for the team that lost the finals. Yeah. That is an insane stat. Yeah. That's how good he is. He has a chance.
He at the moment, again, he's the current GOAT. You know, he is the guy right now. Okay. Like, you know, while LeBron was at the top of his game, people were saying he was the GOAT, right? When MJ was there at the top of his game and years out, the GOAT. Connor McDavid right now is the GOAT, right? Yeah. But again, it really matters most when the GOAT wins. Right now, the GOAT of basketball worldwide
is Joker.
Hey, Doris Burke said it, didn't she?
Okay, here's what I will say. I know we're going long. I just want to say this to you real quick. I think the NBA is in a great state right now because 7 champions in 7 years. Yep. There is actual parity where if you're now, this proves it. Hey, you don't need to be the Lakers or the Miami Heat or the Knicks where, we'll just get all the free agents. You can build a team and go win the title. We've seen it. Milwaukee's won. Denver's won. Now Oklahoma City or Indiana's going to win.
Yeah.
These teams have a chance. There's a salary cap. There's parity. You can win. Like if you're the Magic, hey, you could build a contender. You could do it. Now, it's going to take you 3 or 4 years. You got to be patient. You got to hit on everything. But compared to Major League Baseball, where there's if you're not the Dodgers, you're dead in the water.
Hey,
you have no chance.
We can end on one thing because it's a great point. I wanted to allude to it earlier when I said about Mark Daigneault should have been the coach of the year in the NBA this year. I don't know if you saw this, but you're good at Googling and looking things up. You could probably figure it out very quickly. Okay. They put a stat on the game the other night. Late in the OKC game when everybody knew they were going to win the series, right? The stat up there was Mark Daigneault's record this year, right? And obviously they won 68 regular season games, something like that. And now they've been great in the playoffs too, right?
They've only lost 5 games in the playoffs.
Right. And regular season, they were the winningest team in the league, right?
Yeah.
Then it put up last year's record, and they had a great year last year, right? Not as good as this year, but a great year, right? And then the 2 years before that, Mark Daigneault had awful seasons, losing records. His 4-season total right now, they were so bad in year 1 and 2, so good in year 3 and 4. He's a 50-50 coach right now.
Yeah.
He's not I'm not even sure he's got a winning overall record right now. It might be just under 500, right? But they made a great point, and that's what you just said. You just said it's going to take some time. You just said it's going to take 3 or 4 years. The Oklahoma City Thunder were patient because they saw and believed in what Mark Daigneault was building. They saw him fail miserably his first year. Then his second year, they got a little better, but still failed really badly. Third year, they turned the corner and became a winning team. This year, the 4th year in their plan, they might become a champion. So patience is what it takes more than anything. And a little bit of luck. You got to get some guys young guys, veterans, doesn't matter, but you got to get guys that buy into your culture. And the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, I think, have the best culture in the NBA because just look at them in post-game, right? SGA might get interviewed. They all come stand around, right? You never get to talk to one player. You always talk to the team. SGA is their leader by far, right? But he's the quietest, most humble leader that I think any realm of sport has seen in quite a while. He leads by example, not by how much he says or how loudly he says it. I have a lot of respect. I know we had a lot of fun talking SGA, Joker through the vote and him being crowned MVP. I've got a lot of respect for him as a leader.
Yeah.
Because of how he's led those young guys around him. Mark Daigneault, I said this before, there are a lot of great X and O coaches in the NBA. Every coach in the NBA can X and O, Mark, right? But the difference is when you find a coach, a special coach that can X and O and can also be a great man manager, managing those egos so that they're willing to sacrifice for the team's success. Mark Daigneault's written a book on that over the last 4 years. His X's and O's each year have gotten better. His man management skills each year have gotten better. And that's why, again, SGA was the MVP. Mark Daigneault should have been the coach of the year. And he's probably going to prove that by winning the NBA championship.
And you could tell it's changing of the guard. We now have Halliburton. We have SGA. These are newer stars, right? Someone's like, oh, what's Kevin Durant going to do? Kevin Durant's going to retire. That's what's going to happen after a while. He's 35 plus. So his name is Billy Mims. Hey, I appreciate coming on. We'll talk Friday, but, we'll see what happens Thursday night. We'll talk later in the week. Thank you so much for your help. Have a great night and enjoy the NBA Finals. All right, man?
Thanks, Mark. Have a great week.